so this is something I should have done a long time ago. I kept putting it off. I think about a year ago, maybe more, is when I had the feeling that I should be sharing this. Social media, you know, and I don't know. Obviously, I've mainly been afraid, you know, like, oh man, if I do that, you know, people are gonna say all kinds of stuff and everything possible. And sorry for the mess behind me. We just had a baby, and I'm sleeping on the couch. And I didn't think about straightening that. So anyway, yeah, had a lot of fear and stuff for making this, and yeah, also because of that, I continuously was just like, you know, if I had an opportunity to do this, I was like, yeah, I'll do it later, you know. And I've been doing the I'll do it later for months, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. Not just that I had the feeling about it, but I specifically prayed that, you know, I would get my answer. And yes, I got that answer, and in my idiocracy, I just have not done it. And recently I've been getting a very strong conviction because I asked if I should do that, and, you know, was like, if you give me the answer, I'll do it. And I have not done that, so I need to keep my word, and I need to get over my fear and just do what I gave my word to do. So, hopefully this can benefit somebody, even if it's just one person. That's fine. Let's just see how this goes. So, yeah, I'm AC. That's what most of my gaming or, you know, social media things. It's my name. So I'm not giving any names of people in this whole thing. So because I'm not giving names, for any of you who watch this and you know that I'm talking about you, please be respectful of the fact that this is not to do anything against you. This whole thing is meant to be for that random person who might watch this and, God willing, give their life to Jesus and become Christian. So please don't make this about anything else. So no matter where I'm posting this, please do not go in the comments and be like, oh, that's me, why would you say that? Nobody knows it's you until you say it, so please just don't do that, okay? And yeah, so yeah, I was born in Orlando, Florida. From what I have gathered of knowledge, my biological parents at the time were into drug and alcohol abuse or substance abuse, whatever. Oh yeah, before I go any farther, also, any child watching this video, yeah, out of, you know, reasons for what I'm going to be saying, please pause the video now and go ask your parents to watch this first before you watch it, because I'm not going to hold things back, and I barely have posted anything on most of my stuff, but I'm sure this will have a very high flag on it and I'll probably get canceled for some reason, but that's fine. I'm just saying what it is. So yeah, anyway, back to the thing. So I was born in Florida. Biological parents had done a lot of bad things. They were extremely abusive back then, obviously because of the drugs. I barely remember anything good if I think about it, you know. Remember being, you know, punched, kicked, look at someone the wrong way, they like come and like throw you against the wall, you know. Not very good stuff. They were in and out of jail. It was like me and my two brothers, you know, we were all there. There was, even back then, some family members, I don't remember who they were, but yeah, doesn't matter, I'm not saying the names anyway, even if I did remember, that, yeah, it wasn't just me, it was all of us, you know. They would always play with all of us, sexually, and yeah, when you're like 2, obviously the way that they do it, it's like, okay, I guess this is playing, and they make it seem fun. Not just you are involved, so others are involved, and yeah, you laugh about it and stuff. Yeah, after a whole lot of stuff happened, my granny took me and my brothers, moved us to Tennessee, and yeah, when we got there, she was in really bad health, and none of the biological family wanted us, and the ones, yeah, you know, that were there, all of them that was contacted, they either didn't want us because they were asked to take all 3 of us. It's a really big deal, obviously, children are expensive. And, you know, mainly because the finances, yeah, that didn't happen. So yeah, we went to Tennessee with my granny, because the state took us away and gave us to her, and because of all the stuff that kept happening every time my biological parents were getting released from prison and stuff, she decided eventually, okay, I can't stay here, I need to go somewhere where I have actual family that can help, that will be supportive, because she was in really bad health and she needed help. And she needed us to be around people that were trustworthy in case anything happened to her. So yeah, we go to Tennessee. I think it was like almost instantly when we went there. My granny's cousin died or something. She tried to get to the funeral. She wanted someone to babysit us, but no one wanted to. My brothers and I were all really crazy at that point. So she ended up taking us with her. And yeah, my granny's biological first cousin, her daughter is my mom now. So her and my dad now, they both also went to the funeral because it was also a relative. They've been trying to have kids for a long time. They had a lot of miscarries through this, and time and stuff, and yeah, my mom now looked at me and my brothers, and she instantly had the feeling, you know, that like God said, these are your children. So someone introduced my granny to my parents, and we're like, hey, yeah, they've been trying to have kids, you know, maybe we could get something going. I don't know everything involved, it's been long ago. I was 5 or just turned 6, I don't know. But obviously we did the whole thing, we got to hang around with them and stuff, and absolutely loved them, of course, how could we not? And yeah, they adopted us. Up until that point, I never really felt true happiness. I was always a happy person in general, you know, overall. And then that, being adopted that day was the best day of my life at that point. Yeah, so obviously after being adopted and stuff, they adopted all 3 of us, naturally, and yeah, took us to church. I really started liking that, and other people after this point, still were doing stuff, but I was a child, sexual, they did sexual stuff. At the point, I still thought you're supposed to do that. Like, that's just what you do. And it wasn't until I was getting a bit older, like that's when it stopped from those people. And then I also realized, oh, yes, we weren't supposed to be doing this anyway, and you're not supposed to do that at all. Because I was getting to the point where I was understanding the stuff in church, in the Bible and everything. It's like, don't do these things. Don't be involved in those things. So yeah, but right when the other people stopped, another family member started, and that person did the stuff until I was 18. There were times when I tried to not have these things happen, and that never really went well. So because the person was so big, compared to me, I was really small, and yeah, I was terrified, and most of the time because of that, I was just like, just do it so nothing happens. Nothing would hurt worse or anything. And all these things happening in life, I eventually would also obviously I had girlfriends and stuff, but it started getting to the point, the older I was getting, I was questioning, like, what if that is how I am, like I didn't like men and stuff, obviously, but like I was questioning, like, what if that kept happening to me because that's how I was supposed to be. A whole lot of stuff happened. My grandma, at that point, was getting dementia and stuff. I was helping my parents take care of her. Some family members began doing the same thing, that is bad for them. And they moved out, so I was the only person left with my parents to help them take care of the house and the land and all the dogs, the cats, and trying to stay good, to ensure that I didn't do anything wrong for the longest time, because I felt, they adopted me. Why should I do anything to disgrace them or dishonor the name that they gave me, or turn against them when they gave literally everything just to get us? Mainly that was my big thing, like that's the least I could do if you love me enough to adopt me and stuff. So anyway, after all this stuff was happening, I think it's around 18, 19, I finally had enough. I was supposed to join the Navy, and the week before I was supposed to leave, I up and left. I didn't even, I was supposed to go for a weekend. I didn't even tell, the original plan was go for a weekend, but whatever happened, happened. I wanted to meet my biological family and get some closure, because I always questioned, why did no one want me? That's when I found out, no one really had the money to take 3 more children. So, yeah, and then I ended up getting stuck. I maxed out my credit card, I made my, adoptive parents, my parents, so every time I refer to them, I'm going to call them my parents from now on, just so there's no confusion. So, yeah, because I maxed out my credit card and stuff, I asked my parents if they could help pick me up, because I literally only wanted to go get some closure. But, because of the way things were, and I did not leave in a nice way, they ended up finding out and stuff. They came to talk, and I said things I shouldn't have, which I wish I could take back. I can't. I apologize for that, and I've prayed for, forgiveness. I have been forgiven from them, and obviously obviously God forgave me and stuff, but that's one of those things, you know, like, it's always there. You're never gonna forget you did that. But anyway, because I left and stuff and went to go see my biological family, they said, nope, you're an adult. You can find your own way back. So yeah, I was really mad then. Obviously now, I'm so glad everything happened the way it did. No matter what things that I'm gonna tell you happened. It was not nice to go through it at the time, but now I'm super glad every single thing happened the way it did, because I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be where I am and stuff, you know? So, yes, I ended up staying there. I goofed around, barely worked. I worked for a family member for his company and stuff. Another family member, like, they were all super nice. I, you know, loved them all. But the one in particular became my absolute best friend. We did everything together, even stupid things we shouldn't have done. While I was there, though, you know, I drank a lot. I started doing, you know, drugs. I know people don't say it's not, but I mean, it is. If it alters your mind, it's a drug. I was smoking weed and stuff. Sometimes I would pop pills. Drinking nonstop. I was having sex with anyone and everyone. I was just partying away. We had a lot of parties. Everyone down there, you know, gave me nicknames and stuff, and yeah. One time I even, you know, I think I drank, I smoked a little weed, and then I did coke, and then I drove a car afterwards. That was like a long time ago. Didn't go that far though, because I got too freaked out and stopped. Thankfully, didn't wreck, nothing happened. And this was literally like a long time ago. But yeah, so after that though, one of like my family's members down there, biological family, they had a family friend who was in the Guard or the Reserves. I think the Army Guard or Reserves, and he also was a state trooper. And this man was sent from God, I'm telling you. So, kind of got mad at first because he tricked me, in a sense, but, and of course I was high, so I might not remember this exactly the way that it was. But yeah, I was high. He came to the house and he was like, you know, hey, AC, you know, but my name, he's like, AC, can you come help me? He just moved into a house. He's like, can you help me move some stuff from my old house to my new house? And I was like, yeah, sure. We go down the road. I thought we were going to his old house, to his other house. We were going to go pick something up there first to bring it back. I think maybe a trailer, I don't know. But instead, he pulled up to the recruiting station there in that city. And I don't remember everything he said, but basically something like, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, basically. Eventually you're going to die or I'm going to arrest you. He said, you got to go in there and you got to get away from here because you're doing things you're not supposed to. And I was really mad and I was really appalled, but I was like, I knew he meant it, and in my heart, you know, I was like, do it. Like, I knew this was the right thing. Because, again, I literally was getting dragged into things I should not have been doing. Yeah, so go in, obviously, ended up joining. I had to wait, and so, you know, I could pass a drug test and everything. Went into the military, and at the time, remember again, anyone who watches this, if you're anyone I'm mentioning, don't go in the comments and say things. Just, please. So yeah, the person I was with at the time, I met her at MEPS, which is like the processing process, like a place you go for a process for joining the military. They like check your body and stuff, make sure you're healthy enough to join. Met someone there. We got together. We were together for a long time, and then later, out of the blue, we were living together and everything in an apartment. And then she's like, "Oh, hey, I have to go, to Walmart. I have to meet my husband in the parking lot." And I was like, "What the heck are you talking about? You're married? Like, I never even had heard you talk about this or anything." And then she's like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're not staying together." But obviously that did matter because still we're married. Still stayed with her though, and yeah, she eventually got pregnant. I was in basic, and no, I was in basic. I had a lot of issues, so even though I graduated, I had to stay like a week or two longer. But I had a few days, I think the weekend, I got to go, either the weekend or a week I got to go away and just have time. I think in that time she got pregnant. They shipped me to Germany. That's over here was my first duty station. While I was here, I barely spoke to anyone back home. I kind of secluded myself because I was like, I still do it now sometimes. I think often, there's not really a reason to talk to people. The more I talk to people, the more it's going to make me depressed because I can't see them again and stuff, like I'm over here. So that was my choice. I started hanging out with everyone, and obviously we're like lower enlisted. All we did was drink and party and go to clubs and stuff every weekend. I lost so much money, not just from that. I was so dumb. I would put money in my wallet, and when I would pay for things, I would be so extremely drunk that I would pull out more. And I remember, in this time, that I'm not like that. I think back to it, and I remember I saw money falling in the floor, but I was just so gone it didn't even come to me, like pick it up. And sorry if I make a lot of mistakes. I've been here so long. Sometimes I can't think of words in English. So yeah, or I might say it funny. But yeah, like this is how drunk I was. But it was getting to the point. Drinking was making me really sad. And I would sometimes talk to the girl that I was with. We had gotten engaged and stuff. I talked to her, I think at least once a week. I tried to do like a video call. One time she called me and stuff, and she was like, "Yeah, I went to a party and I did drugs, drank, and I had sex with someone, and lost the baby." And yeah, obviously broke that off, and that literally set me into my hardcore spiral down. Yeah, I started drinking a lot more. I started thinking about all the things I did wrong. I started thinking about how my life began and all that stuff. All the sexual things that had happened to me, I started thinking about all that again. Because I was drinking nonstop, and obviously that was just putting me into depression because I didn't really get the point that that was a depressant, to make you depressed. So I just drank and drank and drank. And then it got to the point where I was like, well, I can't physically kill myself, so I just need to drink enough that eventually I just pass out or something, never wake up again. Got really hardcore. One of the nights, drinking wasn't working, so I had enough. I slammed the bottle against the wall of a underpass under like a bridge, and tried to shove the bottle into my chest, because I turned it to where the longest shard was on top, and then it just jammed it in my chest. I was attempting to go right through the ribs to hit my heart, but thankfully the second it was entering my skin, like it went in a little bit, but I also stopped myself because it hurt so freaking bad. I don't know how I thought that was a good idea. But yeah, and then once I realized what I did, I was like, oh dude, like, what have you done? You took it way too far. You shouldn't have did that. So then I thought to myself, oh man, I had to make this look like I got attacked, you know, and my thinking that was a good plan. So I slashed the bottle across my stomach, and then I started slashing it on my arms and scratching my arms up and stuff to make it look like I was trying to, you know, defend myself. Yeah. Then I woke up the next morning, and my, you know, friends, in a bathtub at one of their girlfriend's house, and the water was like pink, obviously, and I was like seeing I had cuts and crap, and I was like, why did you guys not take me to the hospital? And they're like, yeah, you kept saying don't take you to the hospital, you're gonna get in trouble. And I was like, well, I mean, that's pretty big wounds. You shouldn't have listened to me, obviously, like that wasn't a good idea. Basically when everything was like that, I ended up after this self-enrolling into a program called ASAP, like something for substance abuse program, something. Yeah, and at the time, my leadership that I had, and again, I'm not saying names, but my leadership I had got mad at me because I self-enrolled, and I didn't ask their permission first. But I also had a concussion, yeah, because after I did all that, I hit my head on a tree, and I threw myself down a hill, because I was trying to do as much as possible to make it look like I literally was attacked. Yeah, so at this point, I had TBI, self-enrolled into ASAP, and because of the things that I had been going through and stuff, the psychiatrist that I was speaking with said that they couldn't help me. They didn't have the level of stuff, I don't know what it is called, like they weren't at a level to where they could help me. I needed to go somewhere where there was someone more qualified to help. So she suggested I go to rehab, and I did that. And then naturally in rehab, even though I have the problems I have and I've gone through the things I've gone through, when I got there, there was people that was like 10 times worse. And that really opened my eyes. Yeah, I got through that. I ended up meeting another girl too, like a month and a half or so after I got here. I'd been asking her the whole time to be my girlfriend, and I think it was right after rehab, or no, the week before I got out of rehab. I got to go back to like my base if I wanted to, but I came in this house that I'm in now, because this was where my wife lives. Like, we live with the in-laws because it's cheaper right now. But anyway, so I came back here. I spent the weekend with her, like in the basement. Obviously, at the time they were Christian, and I was obviously backslidden. So I stayed in the basement, and they were up here. Like, the basement, they made it into a flat or something. Like, one of the siblings lived down there, but they were gone at school, so I stayed down there usually when I came. Anyway, after this point, during that weekend, my wife at that point finally agreed to be my girlfriend, so everything started looking up. Went back to there, got released. They were like, yeah, good job, you successfully passed, which means that I wasn't going to get kicked out of the military because I successfully completed rehab. Went back to my unit, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to start taking a different look on this. Even though I was mad that I was in the military, I was like, I did sign a contract, I willingly did this, I need to actually do my best to do something with this. So I started doing training and stuff. Things were going kind of decent. I still was having a really hard time with PT. That's my really hardcore thing that I really had an issue with. got engaged. Yeah. And then I started having a lot of issues. Like I did a little training thing, went somewhere, and then I think while I was there, one of the training exercises we did, going up a really steep hill, and it was like super hot. I think that's kind of what overdid it for my body. Yeah, because after that I started getting a lot of issues. Ended up turning out I had heart issues, got kicked out of the army, well, medically retired, or medically, yeah, got out. And yeah, I don't know. I was married at this point, and decided to stay here through all of this, since my wife, at the time girlfriend, said, yeah, every time I was here, on Sundays we would also go to church. Didn't do me any good. I mean, sometimes she would translate, but sometimes I'd be like, just chill out so you pay attention. Because her English and German, she's German, but her English was so good that she was even knowing words that I don't know, and I'm a native English speaker, but she barely spoke English. Yeah, funny how Germans always do that. Say they can't speak English and they always are fluent. But anyway, so she was always taking me to church and stuff, and yeah. Eventually I get out of the military, and yeah, I had started working at a fast food place on base to keep, support or whatever, and I was going to school, trying to get a degree, and she started her Ausbildung, which is like a German scholarship type thing. So she had to go to Ansbach Monday to Friday, and on the weekend she was here. But when she was here, she had to lock herself in the room and study nonstop, so I didn't bother her. So naturally, we were doing our own stuff. We started having issues, a lot of issues. That was a very hard time for us, because we barely spent time together, and when we did, it was still basically alone. And I had started drinking again. I don't know. Eventually, because of the stuff that was happening, we didn't have time. My work started changing my schedule to all kind of sporadic things, so it really made it to where we had no time together. And a bunch of other stuff, happened at work. So I was like, you know what? I can't be here anymore. It's not good. I can't be in this environment. I quit, which meant that I would officially be on the German side if I did that after 30 days, but I was like, whatever, we'll figure it out. And then I, for almost a year, sat in the basement, because that's where we ended up moving in when we got married. We moved down there first. I every day drank, non-stop. I would drink a lot. I spent so much money drinking, staying up super late, drinking, playing video games and stuff. But then it started getting to the point, obviously, drinking was making me sad again, and I started contemplating, because of everything, I was like, well, there's not really a point to live anymore, honestly. Like, I have no reason. I was like, my life sucks, I have nothing to live for, nothing's going well, I don't have a job, I don't have friends, I don't have family to talk to, because at the time I didn't even speak German. Like, the most I knew was like hello and stuff like that, or like where's the bathroom, but I couldn't speak to my in-laws. Yeah, I had no friends. Everyone I knew in the military left, back to the States, obviously, and yeah, lost touch. Anyway, got depressed, started thinking about suicide again, and it was on the weekend. My wife was there, so I was like, I'll just do it when she's not here. Obviously I can't do it while she's there. I'll just do it when she's not there, which obviously wouldn't have made it better had I done that. But when I was like at the really high point, like, I am not kidding about this, I'm literally gonna do it, I prayed that night as I was going to sleep. The first time I prayed in a long time, like so many years. That's the first time I prayed. And I said, God, I don't even know if you're there. I don't know if you care about me anymore. I've turned away from you, and I've done what I wanted for so long. I don't know if you're listening to me right now. But I said, I obviously don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be alive. I don't even know why you let me be alive. I don't know why you let me exist. But I said, you know, if you're there, I need you to let me know that you're there. Otherwise, I'm not doing this anymore. Then I went to sleep, and yeah. So, as I slept, I thought I woke up. No, I didn't though, because I started coming up away from the bed. And right when I got to like the ceiling, I turned around and then looked at myself laying in bed, and I looked at my wife, and I remember having a piece come over me like, oh, she's so like happy, and she looks so beautiful and at peace right now. And I just had a comfort. And then I kind of like turned around back towards the ceiling, and then extremely quick I shot up. And there was like super crazy lights and stuff. It sounds crazy. But then I was above the earth. And I was just looking at it, and it was so still, but there was also like this slight noise. And I remember thinking, man, like, this is the most beautiful thing you could look at. So peaceful. Obviously here it's not, but like up there, it was like the most peaceful thing that you could ever imagine. And as I was looking at it, behind me, I heard someone say, like, hey, you finally made it. And I turned around and I was like, who the heck? And like out in the distance there was a house, and I saw a guy like waving his arm, and he was like, hey. And I just like frowned, turned back around, I was looking at the earth, and I was like, this is more entertaining. And then all of a sudden behind me, I heard the guy was much closer, and he was like, hey, come up here, say hello to everyone. We've been waiting to meet you for a long time. And I turned around, and that house that was really far away was right beside me. And I don't exactly know how to explain the house, other than it looked sort of like a Mediterranean house or something. It was, or maybe Middle Eastern, I don't know. It was beige, like I guess made of sand or something, dirt, I don't know. But on the side close to me there was a stairwell going up, so I went up the stairs. And then I got up there, and I was like, yeah. The guy was like shaking my hand and hugging me and stuff, and he was like, we're all your family, we've been waiting to see you. And as soon as he said this is your family, I was like, hold up, because, I mean, look at me. There was people on this roof, and this roof was like massive. It went on really far, like a really, really big roof. And there was people like sitting in chairs and stuff, and on like roof couches. I don't even know what you call those. There was, you know, white people. There was people wearing like the head, big puffy head things, like people in the Middle East usually wear. There was like really black people. And you know, I was like, I don't know if this is my family, all of them anyway. But whatever. I was like hugging people, shaking their hands and stuff, saying hi. Don't remember everything they said to me. And then all of a sudden, from behind me, I feel a really strong presence start coming close to me. And I was just like, you know, whatever, maybe it's just like a chill because I'm up here, you know. And I kept talking, but it came closer and closer and closer, and it was getting so strong. And it got so strong that I turned around and I was like, I gotta see what that is. Like, why is that so strong? Like, why can I feel that this thing has so much power? And I turned around, and there was, man, it's been so long, this is 2018, I still can't. I turned around and I saw a man. I turned around the feet, turned around, saw the feet first, and I started looking up. It was a man in a really bright white gown. And when I went to his face, I couldn't see it because it was so bright. But I instantly fell on my knees because I couldn't stand anymore. And I just started saying, I put my hands up and I was like, Jesus, 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 Jesus. I couldn't say anything else. And I started crying, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, stand up. This whole time I got my hands up and just saying Jesus repeatedly. I stood up and he said, I've been with you from the beginning. I've never once left you. I've been with you through everything you've ever gone through. I never once turned my back on you, even though you turned away from me. And then he said, he hugged me and he said, I love you, but your time has not yet come. And then I woke up, sat up in bed, and I was like, I had the most hardcore chill bumps all over my body that you could ever have. And I just felt such a strong presence in the room. And because I had this happen, I instantly got saved. And since then, I have been getting closer to God as much as I can. It's really hard. I have a lot of bad habits to break that I've been breaking, I've broken, still breaking, all of that. But yeah, so after that, I think it was the next day, I opened the Bible, started reading. I think it was one of those times you just, it's closed, you just open it, and you're just like, where am I? What's there? And one of the first things I saw was in Jeremiah 29. And yeah, so it says, for I know the plans I have for you. This is the Lord's declaration. Plans for your well-being, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. You will call to me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. I will be found by you. And obviously that really spoke to me because I was at such a deep point then. And I really meant it when I prayed that time. I mean it when I pray now a lot. But I really meant it. That part of me was like, I don't want to die, but I really was considering doing it again. And it really spoke to me. But yeah, I eventually at this point I just was also reading sporadically in the Bible and stuff after that happened. And yeah, one of the small churches, it's like a very, very small church. They call them Gemeindes here. I was there, and one of the guys that's like the head dudes, I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, I need to share this, and he was like, well, you gotta talk to me first, tell me what it is, and then I'll decide if you should share it. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird, you know. I was like telling him I prayed about that, and God told me that I needed to share that. It happened a while ago, but I was like, I need to share this. I told him what happened and stuff, and he said, I think sometimes it's meant for us to keep things to ourselves. And I was a fool, and I listened to it. Later on, I mentioned it to one of my friends, one of my new friends. He's a really cool dude. And he said, you know, that's interesting that you said that. And a few people that I've mentioned it to since then have said the same thing, that it's like interesting that I said that happened, because the one part where I mentioned that I saw Jesus, and obviously I know it's Jesus, they were like, yeah, you know, in the Bible it says that he wears white and his face is bright, basically. And I was like, haven't seen that yet. I don't know if I ever heard that when I was younger. It wasn't in my mind. I didn't remember it. But I googled it and ended up finding it. And yeah, like Matthew 17, it talks about Jesus was transfigured in front of them, and his face shone like the sun. His clothes became as white as the light. And that was like another confirmation, like, yes, that's what you saw. And, you know, I think at that point there was like 2019, I think. Like this had already been a little while since that happened. Now it's 2023, so it's been a long time since I originally did that. But I kept thinking about sharing it, you know, like, oh, I should share, I should go to these churches, I should share at one of these churches, like these are the churches I go to, I need to share it with the people there. Especially the slightly bigger one, because there's people more my age, but maybe anyone there would also need to hear that. But yeah, so I just want to say, I'm sorry it's so long. If anyone happened to watch this whole thing, thank you for taking the time to watch. And I would like to say, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. Even if you've never been saved, if you don't believe in God, you know, if you don't believe in anything, and if you think there's some random stuff, then I'm telling you now, there's a guy named Jesus, and he loves you so much. He died on the cross for all of our sins, even the sins of the future and everything. He just took it all, and he was the perfect sacrificial lamb. And Jesus wants to be a part of your life, no matter who you are watching this. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done. If you ask Jesus to come into your life and to forgive you of all your sins, and you change the way that you live, and you get a Bible, you read it, you know, because once you get saved, that's good, but you need a Bible, you need to be in church and be around Christians and stuff that will gather your self, and you will grow in the Spirit. And I'm telling you right now, man, without God, everything's useless, everything's pointless. I struggled so long with finances, depression, anxiety, all kinds. kinds of stuff. I had so many issues going on. I, of course, had been saved before I turned away. That's why I mentioned backslidden before. But through all that time, I started having so many issues. And I got saved, and I swear I didn't change anything financially. It was like I got saved, and I am telling you right now, the same amount of money I always had the whole time. Same amount of money. I randomly had enough, somehow, to pay my bills. I got out of debt. The past couple years has been so surprising. Every single time it just amazes me. I would be down to like 20 euro, and we still had half the month or a whole month to go. And I had my money. There wasn't supposed to be any more. And then I wake up the next morning, like, man, I gotta check my account again. I gotta see how much money I have. Like, I can spend the day, you know. And I opened it up, and there'd be so many times it would just be like, somehow money was in my account, and I'm like, I don't even know how that makes sense. But all right, cool. Everything changed, man. And yeah, I ain't depressed anymore. I don't have anxiety. I've been blessed with an amazing job. It's good. I'm finally at the point that I am now. My wife and I have gotten a stronger relationship. God blessed me with the most beautiful baby. Everything's pretty fantastic. So with all this being said, it's really important to have Jesus part of your life. It doesn't matter if you're young or if you're old. The Bible also tells us this one part. I need to look it up. I probably should have looked at it before, but it basically says you're not promised tomorrow. And you really aren't. I could go to sleep tonight and never wake up again. But, I mean, yes, I have a wife and a child. That would be really nice to be in their lives, but I have a peace. I know where I'm going when I die, so I don't care. If you're gonna die, if any of you were gonna die tomorrow, or in the next 5 minutes, do you know where you would go? It's a really important thing to think about. It's really good to know where you're going. So I'm gonna wrap up this video, and I mean, I'm not a preacher or anything, so if someone tells me I'm doing this wrong, great. I've never done this before, so if you're someone who says, yeah, I know I could die at any point, and I want to get right with God, and I want Jesus in my life, then you could just repeat after me, because it's literally so simple. It's doing this, but afterwards you still gotta work on it. You gotta let the old you die and become new. So you just, you could say, Lord, I'm a sinner. I confess that I'm a sinner. Lord, I want that you become the Lord of my life. God, I want you to be a part of my life. Please come into my life and make me new. Please forgive me of my sins and make my soul white as snow. Cleanse me, Lord. Make me anew. If you're not Lord, I ask that you be with me in my everyday life. Be the shepherd, guide me. Thank you for giving me life, Lord. Thank you for every breath I take. Amen. Or, basically it's just, from what I know, as long as you're praying to God, not Allah or anything else, God. There's only one God. Or, Jesus. I guess pray to either of them. And you have to basically say that you're agreeing that you want Jesus to be the Lord of your life. That's basically the most important thing. You can say the things you want. But as far as I know, that's the most important things. Because the Bible says Jesus is the only way into heaven. There is no other way. Anyway, I hope that this touches at least one person's heart. And if you watch this again, thank you for taking the time. And I hope God blesses the lives of everyone that watches this video. And see you.